Welcome to J Lowe Artist YouTube channel. I'm Jeffrey Lowe. Today we'll be doing some more chiaroscuro drawing on black paper with Prismacolors. We're just going to be using just a 24 set of Prismacolors augmented with a couple other colors. Chiaroscuro is a lot of fun. It's very moody. It's good practice. So come on, draw with me. So we're going to call this color chiaroscuro because we're going to be using Prismacolors to create our values, as well as add some color and some pop to this. We're going to also use our white charcoal to sketch things on. Remember, white charcoal is more easily erased, and you can cover your Prismacolors on top of charcoal. So the charcoal is just kind of nice to use. So we're going to get our initial drawing with charcoal, and then we're going to move into the Prismacolors. So you may want to use a kneaded eraser to get rid of some of that charcoal if you need to. But let's go ahead and start out with our white charcoal. And simple shapes. His head is like a light bulb. And if you kind of come up to the top and say, well, here's about where the top of his head's going to go. And you want that ear to almost touch this edge over here. If you could like bring it in about an inch or so from the edge over here and make yourself a little mark there and just say, well, that's about where his ear is going to go. Somewhere in there. His little body's going to come down here. Then that kind of establishes where everything goes. Go to the bottom of that little mark that you made and said, that's where the tip of his ear goes. And come straight over. His nose is about right there. So you can kind of come over and say, well, that's about where his nose is, down in there somewhere. And you can just kind of block it in. That other ear is kind of lost in the darkness, and we can kind of leave that kind of lost. You can add a little tip onto it over there, but all that section is going to be very dark. Our light source comes from this direction. So about halfway between the nose and the top of the head, somewhere about halfway, not quite, but almost halfway is about where the eyes go. And instead of drawing a whole circle for the eye, you can just come up and draw this little half moon. A little half moon shape. There's one eye. And it is, if you come over from the nose here and come straight up, it's just slightly over. I can, if I want to, I can go in and look at that light area and with my charcoal, just put in some of those little shades of those light areas. I don't want to do a lot, but I do want to get enough that it looks right so I can tell if my proportions are correct. So what I'm going to draw here is in about the right place. And the only way I'm going to know is if I put in some little lights there, something to help me figure this out. So look at the shadows, or look at the shape of the lights and put them in. Usually they're triangles or rectangles. Sometimes they're circular, but usually they're not. It's interesting how you can break everything down into simple shapes. Opposite that is the other eye, and it's about right in here somewhere. If it's not in the right place, we can always move it. So I have to adjust things and move them over just a little bit. That nose needs to be a little larger. He's got a big nose. Even that collar, if I wanted to put in that collar, I could put in that collar. All this goes as fast as you can. Because this is not the fun part. It is a necessary part. But your intuition is better if you're really pushing yourself. You don't want to have to think about it too much, because you can always adjust this. You can always make it bigger, whatever. And you don't want too much charcoal on here. All that charcoal is going to get covered up anyway. He's a little on the narrow side. I'm going to have to adjust him just a little bit. That ear was a little narrow. This eye might need to go a little bit bigger. So just to keep adjusting until you're happy with what you got. And once you figure out all this stuff with your white charcoal, then you can move on to your colors. And again, you're going to got to figure out what kind of colors you want to use in this. If you kind of stick with that idea, warm colors in the light, cool colors in the shadows. Well, the shadows are very dark. So we're not going to be able to do all this in blue, but the edges we could probably do a little bit of blue or green or purple, whatever color you want there. So when you open up your colors, you've got to decide, where do I want to put those colors? What do I want to do with them? And what colors do I want to use? So one thing that chiaroscuro is famous for is its light and dark. Now, black is already done for us. So maybe we want to use that white somewhere. But white by itself is kind of chalky. So along with white, we want some warmer colors. So there's always yellow. That's very warm. Orange. That's very warm. There's a color in there called goldenrod. Goldenrod is kind of a muted yellow. It has a little bit of, it's just a darker yellow. But between the two, you might get a nice golden yellow. So I might like that. What's another color that you would like to use? This Parma Violet is really nice. Because it's one of the cooler colors, it might do well in some of those very light shadows where the light's kind of bending around. So that Parma Violet might be good. A blue might be good. This True Blue, I might use a little bit of that True Blue in there. So I'm going to pull it out just for fun. What other colors would you use in there? Color is not really important. It's just kind of what you're feeling like right now. I'm gonna go for this mulberry. I love the mulberry. I think we used a little of that last time. And maybe a little bit of red. Again, the black is already done for you. So those are my warm colors, my cool colors, and maybe some neutrals. If I went to the green side, which I totally could go to the green side, you do kind of a yellow green. That's a neutral. But it's also on the lighter side. So I tend to go more towards the violets than I do the greens. But again, it's up to you. You decide what you want. And you want to limit yourself a little bit to your palette. Now, black is already done. I might take some indigo blue just because there might be spots that I want a little darker. And so I might keep that indigo blue out just for fun. Don't know if I'll use it or not, but we'll try it. So there's 7 colors I've got. White. White is not technically a color. It's an absence of pigment. But that's going to give my light values. And there's a few little spots that might be very white. Shines in the eyes, maybe the little shine on his nose, shine on that little metal ring around his collar. Most of this other stuff, I probably wouldn't do much white in there, but I might mix some yellow with it. So one of the first things I'm going to do is I've got my map done with my white charcoal. I'm just going to go in and really hit some of those highlight areas. I like eyes. Eyes are important to me. So I'm going to go into this eye and just kind of lightly with the white, figure out where the lightest areas are going to be. And eyes are important that they've got strong contrast in them. So I just go in there and put a little bit in here, a little bit on the edges. I'm not shading very heavily. I'm really very light. Again, the camera picks up on it. It looks a little heavier than it really should be. Just that little bit makes that eye come alive. And if you really want it to pop, you're going to add a little pressure in some of those highlight areas. And that makes it pop, makes it come through. This other eye is mostly in shadow, but you do get a little bit on that edge. I can also take my white pencil and use little feathered lines to create the illusion of fur. This is going to work if you're drawing people. It works with hair. But you can also very smoothly put in some of that, and it'll work with skin tones and things. So you're going to get kind of a black and white image. When we start adding color, colors, and I've said this many, many times, it's like frosting on a cake. You got to get your cake done first before you put your frosting on. I'm usually a little more conscientious about where things go around the eyes and the nose. And as I get away from the rest of that, I start sketching it in, being very quick. I can easily do this with that yellow because it's in the light areas. Might want it warmer. Going over the top of my charcoal, not worried about the charcoal blending or not blending. This seems to do okay. And if I want it really light, just add a little pressure to it. Funny thing is when you first do this, you think, oh, that's really light. But as we start drawing, you're going to find, oh, that's not near as light as it needs to be. And if you want to use the side of your pencil, you're welcome to do that too. Seems like it's a little faster. Now, the Prismacolor is not going to smear like the charcoal does. So once you got the Prismacolor in there, then you can just start adding color. You add whatever color you want. Be creative, have fun with it. Remember, it's just frosting. Now what color would you use? Good question. I'm just going to go with this goldenrod. Don't know why. It may end up being not quite what I wanted it to be, but I might like it. And remember that yellow and violet are complementary colors. So if I decide I want to put a little violet in here, it'll interact with that yellow and make the yellow look more yellow and the violet looks more violet. And if I mix them, they'll make each other look brown. Sometimes I like to use the eraser to soften my edges. Boy, that is really warm. I'm going to try an experiment here. I'm going to use this violet. I'm just going to go into that and see what happens to it as I put that in there. Like I say, I never really quite know what's going to happen, but I kind of like this. Not sure about the purple, but I guess it's okay. I'm going to keep going with it. I wonder if the blue would add anything to it. I'm just going to add a little bit of blue in there and see what happens there. Yeah, this is true blue. This is that crimson red. Not sure about the crimson red either. Not sure there. Maybe a little bit of crimson red mixed with that yellow. This is that goldenrod. I like that. That's nice. Whatever colors you decide to use, kind of stick with it. And as long as your values are correct, it's going to be okay. Remember, we're not drawing a photograph. We're drawing art. We want our viewer to feel edified by what they see or what we've drawn. I do like the goldenrod on top of the purple. I like that. Not exactly sure what I'm getting or what color that is, but I like it. What do you guys think? Have you tried the Parma Violet with the goldenrod on top? I like it. Kind of goes kind of a darker orangey red kind of a color. I like that Parma Violet for the very light, reflected light that you get, like that around his nose. I think I'd even like it in his hair, on his fur. A little bit of reflected light in there. I like the yellow over the blue and over the purple. Over the blue, it kind of turns green. Over the purple, it kind of turns golden red. So all of a sudden, you're going to start getting all these colors that you're like, wow, where did those come from? I need a lighter color, so I'm going to add this yellow to it. Some of you, if you have a larger set, there's a cream color. It's kind of a light yellow that is very almost white. I'd probably use that if I had it, but since I don't, I'm going to use this yellow. So I can't just kind of lighten that up just a little bit. This is just that canary yellow. It's pretty yellow. I think I'd rather have the cream, but this is what we got. That's what I'll use. So I guess, again, if you think of it like frosting, just add it like crazy, wherever you feel like. Try to get your values correct. That's what's most important here. There's some green that I'm getting over that blue, but that's okay. Looks kind of nice. Question is, do I know what colors I'm using? No, I don't. I'm just whatever feels right and whatever is the value of what I want. And if I put it in, I think, oh, that's not dark enough. I got to add some lighter to it, whatever you add to it. So I don't know about you, but I'm feeling like my black isn't quite as dark. This is indigo blue, and indigo blue against the black is really going to add some more contrast to it. It's not black, but it looks dark. Indigo blue. Look at this eye compared to that eye. So I'm going to add a little bit of indigo blue here and there, just to give my contrast a little boost. And if your indigo blue goes over the orange or the red, that'll change the way it kind of looks too, and that's okay. Over the top of any of those colors, that indigo blue is going to be just fine. If it was black, it would turn it kind of icky. But the indigo blue is nice. Look how the contrast now starts to pop. I just had one of those feelings, those premonitions that, yeah, I'm going to need some indigo blue in there. Just here and there. You don't need a lot, just in the darkest areas. But that just makes it pop. I really like this indigo blue blending with just about every color I put it over. Whether it's magenta or blue or violet or orange or yellow or red. It's being awesome. You're really creating some nice contrast. Just go ahead and scribble in your colors. Once you get the eyes and nose and mouth into where they need to go, you just scribble in whatever color you feel like you need. The last little bit of value that you add, whether it's your lights or your darks, they should go over the top of whatever color you got there, and all it'll do is lighten it up. Lighten up the color. A cream here would have worked very nicely. But I'm going to do white. I like the greens that I'm getting when I do the yellow and the blue. Don't even have green in my hand, but there's the green. Love it. Got to kind of remind yourself that those colors are not the colors you see. There's no color there. So just whatever you want to, add color. Enjoy it. The more color, the better. Just kind of layer in those colors. Does it bother you that it's kind of scribbly? Or are you okay with it? You can develop a style that is very loose, very scribbly-like. Nothing wrong with that. Well, I hope you had fun with this and I hope you learned something, or just maybe just had an opportunity to do something you've never done before and just relax. The whole color thing is so relaxing. Just kind of figure out what you want to do, have fun with it. And I hope y'all have a lovely day.